Welcome to SKML Chess Academy YouTube channel. In this video, we will be seeing the remaining chess traps in Ruylopez opening. It starts with e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, knight f6, castles, knight into u4, d4, d5, knight into e5, bishop d7, knight into f7, king into f7, queen h5, king e6, knight c3, knight e7, knight into e4, bishop into b5, knight c5 check, king d6, knight into b7, winning the queen. Here, when you see here, the position appears very placid. After black develops his bishop and castles, he will have equalized. Before this can happen, however, white hits out with a surprising sacrifice, which wins. That is knight into f7. If here in let us see next trap. Sometimes castling without analyzing the forthcoming series of exchanges also leads to loss of material. Here in this trap, black loses an exchange. How? You will see. e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, d6, d4, bishop d7, knight c3, knight f6, castles, bishop e7, rook e1, castles, the moment it castles, series of exchanges takes place. Bishop into c6, bishop into c6, d into e5, d into e5, queen into d8, rook 8 into d8, knight into e5, bishop into e4, knight into e4, knight into e4, knight d3, f5, f3, bishop c5 check, knight into c5, knight into c5, bishop g5, rook d5, bishop e7, rook e8, c4, rook into e7, rook into e7. That's winning the exchange. Here, the mistake which was committed is on the seventh move. Here, you should have taken the. This is the correct move. Before, you should not have castled. Also, it seems that it's very good move, castling, but it is the correct move. Again, in the 10th move, here there will be another trap if after rook a into d8. So let us move on to next trap in this series. Here e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, d6, d4, bishop d7, knight c3, knight f6, castles, bishop e7, rook e1, castles, bishop into c6, bishop into c6, d into e5, d into e5, queen into d8, king rook into d8. You see here everything is repeated except that I think this, instead of taking with the queen rook, he is taken with the king rook. In last trap we have seen the rook from A is taken the queen, but here again same. Here knight into e5, bishop into e4, knight into e4, knight into e4, knight d3, f5, f3. Since these are both are in same line, so white is attacking this. So bishop c5 check, king f1, rook f8. So if he takes with this pawn and winning back the material. That is what black thought. King e2, bishop b6, f into e4, f into e4, knight f4, g5, because here if knight moves, black is planning to come to f2 and check, give check. Then when he moves here this file, then he will activate his other rook. That is the idea of black. But here he played knight h3, so protecting the square, g4, knight f4. So that's how he prevented the opponent's plans. Let us see e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, d6, d4, bishop d7, knight c3, knight f6, castles, bishop e7, rook e1, e into d4, knight into d4, castles, bishop g5. Here black played a blunder. He took the knight into e4. Thinks that he is getting the, he is opened up the, so he is attacking the bishop. So if knight go, if rook into e4, bishop into bishop. But here he plays bishop into bishop. So king knight into knight, then here, sorry, this he played knight into knight 3. Then he played bishop into d8, knight into d1, bishop into c6, b into c6, bishop e7, knight into b2, bishop into f8. White wins the exchange. Let us see the next trap, 45th trap of this series. e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop e5, d6, d4, bishop d7, knight c3, knight f6, bishop into c6, bishop into c6, queen into 3, e into d4, knight into d4, g6, bishop g5, bishop g7, castles. Here the castling is the wrong one. It is the mistake here in this position. Here again what is going to be next exchange. Let us see how. Knight into c6, b into c6, e5, d into e5, queen into d8, rook a into d8, rook into d8, rook into d8, knight e4. So trapping the knight. This, it cannot be protected with the rook because d6 square is also attacked by the knight. Let us see 46th trap. Here you see how the black has been checkmated here. E4, E5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, d6, d4, bishop d7, knight c3, knight g e7, bishop c4, e into d4, knight into d4, g6, bishop g5, bishop g7, knight d5, bishop into d4, queen into d4, castles, knight f6 check, king h8, knight g4 check, knight into d4, bishop f6 check, king f5, knight h6 check. This is very important pattern to know. Even just bishop and knight checkmated the black king, which was trapped on the g8 square. Now let us see trap number 47. E4, E5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, d6, d4, bishop d7, knight c3, knight f6, castles, g6, bishop into c6, bishop into c6, d into c6, knight into e4, e into d6, knight into c3, rook e1 check, knight e4, queen d4, rook g8, rook into e4 check, bishop into e4, queen into e4 check, king d7, knight e5 check, king c8, d7 check, king b8, queen d5, bishop d6, knight c6 check, b into c6, queen b3 check, bishop b4, queen b4 checkmate. Let us see 48th trap. E4, E5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, d6, d4, e into d4, knight into d4, bishop d7, knight c3, knight f6, b into c6, bishop into c6, b into c6, queen f3, c5, knight f5, g6, bishop g5, g into f5, e5, d into e5, bishop into f6, e4, knight into e4, f into e4, queen into e4, check, bishop e7, bishop into h8. White has won the exchange. Now let us see the 49th trap. Here, white has lost time and his king lacks defenders. And here, black wins this in brilliant style. Let's see how. E4, E5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, knight d4, knight into d4, e into d4, bishop c4, knight f6, e5, d5, bishop b3, bishop g4, f3, knight e4, castles d3, f into g4, bishop c5 check, king h1, knight g3 check, h into g3, queen g5, rook f5, h5, g into h5, queen into f5, g4, rook into h5 check, g into h5, queen e4, queen f3, queen h4 check, queen h3, queen e4 check, king h2, bishop g1, king h1, bishop f2, king h2, queen g1, checkmate. Now, 50th trap in Ruylopez. E4, E5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, knight d4, bishop c4, bishop c5, knight into e5, queen g5, knight into f7, queen into g2, rook f1, queen into e4, check, bishop e2, a brilliant smoothed mate by knight f3. E4, E5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, bishop c5, c3, f5, knight into e5, knight into e5, d4, queen e7, and castles, bishop d6, d into e5, queen into e5, f4, queen into b5, e5, bishop c5. Black has won a piece. Here, e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, knight g e7, c3, d6, d4, bishop d7, castles, knight g6, knight g5, h6, Knight into f7, king into f7, bishop c4 check, king e7, queen h5, queen e8, queen g5 check, h into g5 and bishop into g5 checkmate. That's all the traps. Now we have covered all the traps in the Ruylopez with this video. Now from the next video onwards we will see some of the traps in 3 knights games and 4 knights games. Thank you very much for your cooperation. Please like, subscribe and press the bell icon button so that you can reach the new videos which were time to time. Thank you very much.